they look like shit. Before I get into the actual video, the first part of the video will be me explaining my experience at the bird fair. The second part will be all the footage of me and my friend Bridget at the bird fair. So if you want to see that, go ahead, skip ahead. I don't care. You're probably bored with me already. Okay, bye. Hello everybody and welcome back home. I am home. Excuse me, you can hear Levi in the background. He's very excited. He sees all of his toys here, and I'm just going to show you what I bought, kind of show you the prices and my whole exotic bird fair or expo experience. Well, first I got this little rope perch. It is bendable. I got the small one just because Levi's really weird about his perches. He's a Quaker parrot. Quaker parrots can be very nervous when you're introducing new toys into their cage or new toys to them in general. So it helps, at least Levi, if he can fully grasp his talon around the well, whatever it is, the stand or whatever, the perch, just so it gives him a little bit more stability. That's what I've found. I don't know, he could just be weird. But this was actually really pretty cheap. It was $4.75, so with tax it was like $5. So that's pretty good. Now I got him this. Oh, I thought I got him 2 toys. Maybe I didn't. I got him this. He loves these like wiffle balls. He loves them so much. They have bells, they make noise. This is gonna annoy me so much. But there's plenty of stuff for him to chew on. It's leather. He can rip that up. He won't eat it, of course, because birds like to shred. They don't necessarily eat whatever they shred. They shred like paper without eating it and all that stuff. This is only $10, which is really good because you get all of these. You get all of the wood. It's a really cool toy. It makes sound. It's pretty big. It's pretty darn big. And normally, you know, I would find this type of thing on like Amazon for like $20–25. So obviously I got a good deal. Same with this. This would probably be like $10. Next, which is my biggest buy. Levi. He got excited. I brought this out, and obviously this is big and kind of scary at first, and I'm waving it around. Yeah, he's looking at it like, Mom, what is that? Okay. So, this is a bird stand, obviously, duh. It has a poop catcher, ew, gross, and it also has a hanger. So, Levi doesn't like when things move when he gets on it, so I'm hoping I can stand this up just like this, set it down. It's meant to be hung, but it has a plate under it, so I'm just gonna sit this like on my dresser or something so that he gets comfortable with it before I hang it up. But I do plan on hanging it up. I just don't want him to get scared of such a new thing, you know? I don't know. But it's pretty cool. It was $20, which is a really good price. The guy was selling these big old trees. I really like them. But excuse me, it was a pretty good price because normally these are very, very expensive, and I just don't got money for that. So put that right there. And then we got this. Now, a lot of people feed their bird just seed. I have many problems with that. Seed does not provide, well, it does not normally provide the amount of nutrients that your bird needs. A lot of people, they get parakeets, they get, you know, cockatiels, those small little birds, and they just feed them, you know, seeds. And I mean, that's just based on, you know, knowledge. Of course, if you knew that that wasn't really right for your bird, you wouldn't do that. So your bird needs a mixture of seeds, which is like their treat, fruit, veggies, and also some nutrient providing pellets. You might get a mixture, you know, at your local pet store. that is a mixture of the nutrients that they do need. You know, this has some fruits and vegetables in it, so, you know, some dried fruits and stuff, but it does not have the full nutrients that he needs. So I will just be mixing this in with his normal pellet, and I will just give him some good stuff to eat. He didn't want to be on the stand. Kind of hiding right now because there's a lot of new things. Again, he does get a little bit scared around new things. I don't want to pressure him. I want him to want to be on the stand. You know, maybe if I put it next to his cage for a while, he just has to get used to it. It is big and scary, so I don't blame him. I bought this for you. You're gonna like it. It's a toy. You're gonna like it. Oh! Anyways, he's being quite a bit of a brat, even though I just spent, you know, like over $40 on him. So, my experience at the exotic pet fair or exotic expo, whatever you want to call it, it was pretty good at first. At first, I came in, all of the birds were, you know, they were pretty nice. They were sociable. They were, you know, excited to see all the people. There was a bunch of birds that you could take out, you could hold, you know. There was a cockatoo. It was very lovey. It was cuddling up to people. It was an overall, like, cool experience. Now, why I say that it started off good is because I left for a couple hours to walk around town, and then I was gonna meet up with my mom back at the bird fair. So, I know, I'm talking about birds, I'm talking about you. I walked around town, it was about 3 hours later. I went back and the whole atmosphere of this bird fair changed. It was very stressful. I went in, I was automatically anxious. All of the birds were a little bit agitated, and which is expected, but these bird breeders, these bird owners, these bird rescuers should know that, you know, after a long time in a loud environment with a bunch of birds, they do get a little bit stressed out, and you have times where you cover them up so they do not get stressed out. None of the birds were being covered up. None of them. Some of the babies were being covered up. I found that, like, as a huge problem because these birds were stressed out. They were angry. They didn't know where they were. It was loud. Some were just like so scared out of their mind. It was so sad. Like the cockatoo I told you about her before. She was super lovey, and then I came back and I went by her cage and I was like, "Oh, hi, how are you?" You know, talking to her. She reached out her claw from inside the cage and grabbed my finger, and I was like, "Oh, she wants out. She wants me to hold her." She grabbed my finger and then she put it in her mouth and chomped on it so hard. I don't blame her. She was stressed out. Sometimes that happens. Listen, if you have a bird, it's gonna bite you. There's no way of getting around it. No matter if they're trained or not, or, you know, you can train your bird not to bite. My bird doesn't bite. He's not aggressive, but that's their way of telling you yes or no. You know, if you keep on pushing a bird to their point, they're gonna bite you because they're like, "I don't want to do this." It's kind of like having a snake. If you want a snake, of course you can teach them not to bite. You can see the signs of them being aggressive and put them away. Not saying that my bird is aggressive, not saying that this bird is aggressive, but this bird was very stressed out and she ended up biting me. It was fine. I didn't mind that. I don't take offense to it again. But she had this reaction afterwards that was completely heartbreaking. She started screaming. She was running around her cage, and it was not a playful scream. And she'd been in this little cage because at these bird fairs, you know, you can't bring their huge cages. They're only in those cages for a little bit of time, which is okay. It's like a travel cage. as long as they're not in there for, you know, days at a time, or even, you know, 12 hours, it's okay. Oh, she was just very stressed out, and I felt so bad for her. And there was a couple of vendors there that knew what they were doing. You could tell they knew what they were doing. Their babies weren't too young. They were still babies. So it wasn't like exposing very young birds to this whole atmosphere. It was, you know, just around the right age. Some of the vendors had babies without any feathers. I just didn't feel right really being in that situation, because they were also with birds that were bigger than them in these cages. I was just not okay with that. There was even this one vendor that they breed a lot more pets than just birds, and you can tell that they know a lot about pets, but not about birds themselves. They had a bunch of, you know, the not exotic, the kind of pet store birds like budgies, parakeets, cockatiels, that kind of thing. Not saying that, you know, if you have those that you don't know about birds, but just for a, you know, scale. So they had a bunch of those, and they had all of them in little cages, and you know, there was babies in there with full grown, and all of the full grown were agitated and trampling on the babies, and one of them broke their foot, and the girl didn't even know, and we were trying to tell her, like, hey, he's hurt, like, he can't stand on his leg. She put her hand in there, and all of the birds were so afraid of her, because I'm guessing she doesn't handle them all the time. You know, these birds, in order for them to be friendly, you have to handle them. You have to handle them from a young age, and you have to socialize them. And these birds were not socialized. I have no problem with buying toys and buying, you know, food and treats and stuff from vendors and stands from vendors that do know what they're doing, because I'm putting my money into an organization that I feel that is better than Petco or PetSmart. I would rather give my money to, you know, one of these homegrown, personalized, like, pet breeders or pet rescuers than someone that doesn't know their shit. And it broke my heart that one of these vendors was someone that didn't know their shit. A lot of the time, especially with exotic expos and fairs, you almost always get people that know what they're talking about. That said, I had a pretty good time. I wish the birds weren't as stressed out. I wish that they had taken better care of the birds. I do understand, you know, like, when you go to pet fairs and everything, that they do have a lot of pets in little cages just for the, you know, for the vendors' sake. And a lot of these vendors, you know, had bigger cages when they got home. I enjoyed myself. I bought some stuff for Levi. And I think he's gonna like. I think he is. Why are you standing like that? He's standing. He's standing on one foot. I think he's gonna like. I hope he likes them. If not, whatever. They're still gonna be in their cage. But yeah, and I am definitely going to go to more bird expos. It was really fun. I just hope that I never see that vendor again, because I was about to fight her.
Kind of chicken. Oh my god. They are so freaking pretty. They're so happy. They are so freaking cute. They're just loving on each other. Oh hi. Oh hi. This one's gorgeous. Oh, hi! Oh my god, he came up and said hi to me. They are gorgeous. Oh, wow. They look like little pigeons. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. They really stunting on us. Wow. There's another orange one. Oh wow. You are pretty. These have got to be my favorite. Oh my gosh. They look like fire. We have the parakeets and finches over here. They make a lot of bird toys, and they're pretty cheap. The birds are getting a little bit irritated in here, or anxious, because it's a lot of stimulation. I mean, there's a lot of noises in here, if you can even hear me. So, they're not as friendly as they used to be, so I got bitten. But whatever, it comes with the job, you know.